Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Derek Chisora and Nathan Gorman have both made moves in their career, with Derek Chisora announcing that he's signing with Anthony Joshua's management company 258 and Nathan Gorman joining a new promoter, Wasserman, so leaving Frank Warren, so more than likely going to be appearing on Sky, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But first, Derek Chisora. So you can see here on screen, so this is a posting from social media, him and Anthony Joshua. Chisora saying handshake emoji and then at 258 management at Anthony Joshua, also pictured with Joshua and some of the 258 management team. So this, for me, is an interesting development because I guess after Derek Chisora left David Haye in terms of the management relationship that they had, the question was, well, what was happening? Was this just a case if he was going to go to DAZN that he didn't need Haye because it was flat fees, etc.? But this throws up a few interesting things because Anthony Joshua himself has not signed any long-term deals with any TV network. So at the point that his current deal with Sky runs out after the Usyk fight, he is a promotional, or should I say network free agent. So there is the potential that he could sign long-term deals with Sky, DAZN, others potentially. I know in the comments to the last video, someone said that Amazon may be a player. There's BT, there's others potentially, but maybe he will do what Canelo has been doing. And if he does do that, which would be fight-by-fight basis or a short deal with a network, etc., that could end up being something that could benefit Derek Chisora because Chisora will be coming towards the end of his pay-per-view run. In recent years, he's been a good B-side in a number of pay-per-views in the UK, and in his most recent one, he was the A-side in the pay-per-view with Joseph Parker. So what I could see sort of happening here is this alignment with Chisora and Joshua is post those pay-per-view sort of paydays because they won't continue forever. But what I could see is Derek Chisora being a very good co-main event or sort of two fights from the top of the bill on Joshua undercards. Put him in competitive, fun fights, and that will actually really help sort of flesh out Joshua undercards because let's face it, sometimes Joshua's undercards can be incredibly thin, often mismatches or, it's just not a lot there to look forward to. But Derek Chisora generally delivers the entertainment and is generally in good fights. So this could be good for Derek Chisora as that next step, potentially still get lucrative paydays, maybe not pay-per-view level money, but thinking about how can he maximize his earnings for the rest of his career, and Joshua can help fill a gap on some of his undercards because often what he does do is he brings in the guys that are in his management stable. You think the likes of Joshua Buatsi, Lawrence Okoli, and now add to that Derek Chisora. So I could see this working quite well for him. So wherever Joshua decides to go, whatever he decides to do, if Derek Chisora is in the tent, then he can potentially get slots on Joshua's cards and potentially still get decent paydays, which towards the back end of his career, because he's 37 years old at this point, that's going to be attractive for him and no doubt has helped him, this link up with Joshua. He's thinking about himself and how he can still be in good fights in the limelight and still make good money. Because after all, it's prize fighting and these guys don't want to get paid peanuts. So I think Derek Chisora, it's a good calculated move. And this follows, a couple of months ago when he announced that his relationship with David Haye had ended, that they were parting ways. So now linking up with Anthony Joshua in 258 management. So I think this is going to be good for Derek Chisora. Who knows how long it is for? Maybe it's just for a couple of fights and take it from there, but we shall see. So I like it for Derek Chisora, even at, he's sort of pretty seasoned now in the heavyweight division. Still making moves and making smart ones. Okay, moving to Nathan Gorman. So he has signed on with promoters Wasserman. So Wasserman used to be Team Sauerland, so they were brought out by Wasserman. So now it's an arm of Wasserman as Wasserman Boxing. And Wasserman has a tie-in with Sky Sports. So there's a number of fighters, as was recently announced with Sky Sports Boxing and also the other promotional arm that's working with Sky Sports Boxer. There's a number of tie-ins there between Wasserman Wasserman boxer working with Sky. So this seemingly is going to be among them. So most likely he's going to be fighting on Sky Sports. So he will join the likes of Hughie Fury, who was announced recently, Nick Campbell, and also Steve Robinson. So Nathan Gorman in that stable of heavyweights is actually, behind Hughie Fury there, but likely to get more fights, be out more often. Because let's face it, in recent years, Frank Warren hasn't had a tremendous number of cards. It's actually a lot less than it used to be. But also Nathan Gorman, when he was with Frank Warren, who he's now left for Wasserman, he never quite seemed to fit in the stable there. As I'd sort of described in the past, he was a bit of a spare part, and often there didn't seem to be a plan of what they were looking to do for Nathan Gorman. Often there were fights announced, but he wouldn't have an opponent till a week or two before the fight. And that was a number of fights, all but I think the Daniel Dubois fight, and Pavel Sauber. Before that, there was a number of them where you were kind of like someone would get announced 1 or 2 weeks before, which I always thought did him a bit of a disservice. I mean, Nathan Gorman, it's arguable about where his ceiling is going to be in the heavyweight division, but he's a solid guy, at least, British level, potentially, Commonwealth, fringe European, something like that at this point. Can he go any higher and get any further? It remains to be seen. But I think if he is going to be out more regularly, if this is what can happen through the Wasserman link-up, if he is going to be fighting on Sky maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year, that will be good for him, his profile, and his career. And given that Sky has sort of relaunched their sort of offering and they're bringing in a whole number of boxers, there is the potential here that he's just actually got a much more lucrative deal, which has helped, snag him away from Frank Warren. So Nathan Gorman joining Wasserman, likely to fight on Sky. Derek Chisora has signed with Anthony Joshua, likely to probably be on Joshua undercards. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.